There is a quiet truth that lives beneath all striving, beneath every restless thought, beneath every anxious plan you have ever made. It whispers softly while the ego shouts. It breathes gently while the world demands urgency. And that truth is this: when you relax into your being, when you soften your grip on how life must unfold, when you surrender the frantic need to control, you open the doorway through which everything you desire may finally enter. Relax, not as an escape, not as laziness, but as a sacred return. You have been taught that effort is everything, that pushing harder proves your worth, that tension is a sign of seriousness. And so you clench your jaw, you tighten your shoulders, you grip the steering wheel of your life with white knuckles, and you say, I must make this happen. But I ask you, who is this I that is so afraid? Who is this voice that trembles at the thought of uncertainty? It is the ego, that false self constructed from memory and fear, convincing you that without its constant vigilance, you will lose everything. And yet, look at the ocean. The ocean does not strain to create its waves. It does not force the tide. It does not chase the shore. It simply is. And in its being, in its vast, relaxed presence, it moves continents. You are that ocean. The ego tells you that desire requires tension. Spirit tells you that desire responds to alignment. When you are tight, you are contracted. When you are contracted, you block the very energy you are trying to receive. Everything in this universe is energy. Every thought you think vibrates. Every belief you hold sends a signal. When you relax, you shift from the energy of scarcity to the energy of abundance. You move from I don't have to I am. And that shift changes everything. Consider the orange. When you squeeze an orange, what comes out? Orange juice. Why? Because that is what is inside. When life squeezes you through deadlines, disappointments, unexpected loss, what comes out? Is it fear, anger, resentment, or is it trust, peace, love? The squeezing is inevitable, but what flows from you is determined by what you have cultivated within. Relaxation is not passive. It is a practice of filling yourself so completely with faith in your divine nature that when pressure comes, only clarity pours forth. You see, you are not here to chase life. You are here to allow it. There is a vast intelligence that orchestrates galaxies, that turns acorns into oak trees, that beats your heart without your conscious effort. This intelligence does not panic. It does not rush. It unfolds in perfect rhythm, and it lives within you. When you relax, you align yourself with that rhythm. You remember that you are not a separate, struggling fragment of existence. You are an individualized expression of the same infinite field of intention that spins the stars. The ego resists this idea because it thrives on separation. It whispers, you are alone. You must compete. You must hurry. There is not enough. But the soul knows better. The soul knows that abundance is not something you acquire. It is something you attune to. It is like tuning a radio frequency. If you are tuned to fear, you will hear only static. If you are tuned to trust, you will hear the music of possibility. Relaxation is how you tune yourself. When you are tense, your body contracts. Your breath becomes shallow. Your thoughts accelerate. You move into survival mode. In that state, you cannot perceive opportunity because you are scanning for threat. You cannot receive guidance because you are drowning in mental noise. But when you soften your breath, when you drop your shoulders, when you say gently to yourself, I am safe, something extraordinary happens. Your nervous system settles. Your mind clears. Your intuition speaks. And intuition is the language of your soul. Have you noticed how the answers you seek often arrive when you stop chasing them? The idea appears in the shower. The solution arises during a quiet walk. The clarity comes just as you surrender your frantic effort. This is not coincidence. It is alignment. When you relax, you remove resistance. And life, which has always been trying to serve you, can finally flow unobstructed. Ask yourself, what would it feel like to trust that what you desire is already on its way? What would it feel like to know that the universe is not withholding from you, but responding to your state of being? Imagine waking each morning not with urgency, but with expectancy. Not with anxiety, but with calm certainty. I am supported. I am guided. I am enough. I am already connected to everything I seek. These are not empty affirmations. They are declarations of identity. When you say I am, you invoke the creative force of existence itself. You remind yourself that you are not a beggar pleading with life. You are a co-creator participating in it. Relaxation is an act of faith. It is the willingness to release the illusion of control and step into the truth of cooperation. The ego says, if I stop pushing, everything will fall apart. Spirit replies, if you keep pushing, you will never see how beautifully it can come together. Look at the sky. Clouds drift across its vastness, storms, sunshine, turbulence, calm, yet the sky itself remains unchanged. It does not cling to the clouds nor resist them. It allows. You are the sky, not the storm. Your thoughts are the clouds. Your fears are passing weather patterns. When you identify with every anxious thought, you shrink into the cloud. When you relax into your true nature, you expand into the sky. And from that expansion, desire transforms. Desire is not wrong. It is sacred. It is the impulse of life seeking fuller expression through you. But when desire is entangled with fear, fear of lack, fear of unworthiness, fear of missing out, it becomes heavy. When desire is held lightly, joyfully, without attachment to outcome, it becomes magnetic. This is the paradox. What you grip tightly slips through your fingers. What you hold gently comes to rest in your palm. So many of you have been living in a state of subtle tension for so long that you have forgotten what ease feels like. You believe that if you relax, you will fall behind. But behind whom? In a race toward what? The ego constructs imaginary finish lines and then condemns you for not crossing them fast enough. Spirit has no finish line. Spirit is timeless. And in that timelessness, there is no hurry. When you relax, you step out of time and into presence. And in presence, miracles occur. Miracles are not violations of natural law. They are expressions of a higher law, the law of alignment. When your thoughts, your emotions, and your beliefs harmonize with your true nature, life responds in ways that appear extraordinary. Opportunities arise, synchronicities unfold, doors open. But these are not rewards for struggle. They are reflections of resonance. If you are constantly vibrating with stress, you will attract circumstances that mirror stress. If you vibrate with calm confidence, you will draw experiences that match that frequency. It is not mystical superstition. It is energetic truth. Everything is energy. The chair you sit on, the air you breathe, the thoughts in your mind, all vibrating fields of possibility, and you are not separate from this field. You are an active participant in it. Relaxation shifts your vibration from constriction to openness, and openness is fertile ground. Think of planting a seed. You do not dig it up every hour to check its progress. You do not shout at it to grow faster. You plant it in fertile soil, you water it, you place it in sunlight, and you trust. That trust is relaxation. That patience is wisdom. Your desires are seeds. When you obsess over them, worry about them, compare them to others, you disturb the soil. When you relax, you nourish the conditions that allow them to flourish. This does not mean you do nothing. It means you act from inspiration rather than desperation. There is a profound difference. Desperation contracts. Inspiration expands. When an action feels forced, frantic, fueled by fear of failure, pause, breathe, return to center. Ask yourself, am I acting from love or from fear? The body will tell you. Fear feels tight. Love feels open. Relaxation is choosing love. And love is not sentimental. It is powerful. It is the force that holds atoms together and moves planets through space. When you align with love, you align with the organizing principle of the universe. From that alignment, right action arises naturally. You will know what to do, not because you calculated every variable, but because you listened. The soul always knows, but it speaks softly. It does not compete with the ego's volume. To hear it, you must become still. Stillness is not emptiness, it is fullness without noise. In stillness, you remember that you are not here to prove your worth. You are here to express your essence. And your essence is already whole. So much tension comes from the belief that you are incomplete, that you must achieve, accumulate, impress, or outperform in order to deserve love or security. This is the ego's greatest illusion. You were born worthy. Before you accomplished anything, before you owned anything, before anyone applauded you, you were enough. Relax into that truth. Feel how your shoulders drop when you accept that you do not have to earn your right to exist. Feel how your breath deepens when you stop trying to become someone else. You are not a project to be fixed. You are a presence to be realized. When you relax into your authentic self, you stop chasing validation. And when you stop chasing validation, you become magnetic. People are drawn to authenticity because authenticity is rare. It is free of pretense, it is grounded, it is peaceful. Inner freedom begins here. Freedom is not the absence of responsibility, it is the absence of inner compulsion. You may still work hard, you may still set goals, but the energy changes. Instead of striving to prove, you create to express. Instead of competing, you collaborate. Instead of fearing loss, you trust renewal. And here is the deeper truth. What is meant for you cannot miss you. Read that again in your heart. What is meant for you cannot miss you. When you relax, you stop interfering with your own blessings. You stop blocking the pathways through which they are traveling. You understand that rejection is redirection, that delay is preparation, that sometimes the closed door is grace in disguise. The ego interprets every obstacle as a threat to identity. The soul interprets every obstacle as refinement. When you relax, you see differently. You ask, what is this teaching me? How is this guiding me? And in that inquiry, resentment dissolves. There are no justified resentments. Resentment is tension held in memory. It is the refusal to relax into the present because you are clinging to the past. But the past has no power except the power you grant it. When you forgive, you are not excusing behavior, you are freeing yourself from bondage. You are choosing peace over righteousness. When your heart is light, when your mind is clear, when your body is relaxed, you become a conduit. Ideas flow, connections form, creativity awakens. You are no longer pushing the river, you are floating with it. Imagine living this way every day. Imagine approaching your work with calm focus rather than frantic urgency. Imagine speaking from confidence rather than defensiveness. Imagine loving without fear of loss. All of this begins with a single decision to relax into trust. Trust that you are guided. Trust that you are supported. Trust that you are part of something infinitely intelligent. You are not a small, isolated being scrambling for survival. You are a divine expression of infinite possibility. The same force that grows forests and illuminates stars pulses within you. Why would that force withhold from itself? Relax. Let go of the need to know every step. Let go of the obsession with outcomes. Show up fully. Act with integrity. Align with love, and then release. The universe responds not to tension, but to clarity. When your desire is clear and your heart is calm, you create space for manifestation. It may not arrive in the form you imagine. It may not follow your timeline, but it will arrive in the form that serves your highest growth. Sometimes what you think you want is smaller than what life intends for you. If you are rigid, you miss the greater gift. If you are relaxed, you receive it. In the end, everything you truly desire is not outside you. Peace, love, joy, fulfillment, these are states of being. And states of being are cultivated within. When you relax, you return to your natural state. From that state, external circumstances rearrange. So breathe. Feel the intelligence in your breath, effortless, rhythmic, faithful. Let that breath remind you that life is happening through you, not because of your strain. Allow yourself to soften into the present moment. There is nothing missing here. There is nothing lacking in this instant. You are alive. You are aware. You are connected. And from this place of relaxed awareness, everything becomes possible. Relax. And you will get everything you desire, not because relaxation is a trick to manipulate the universe, but because relaxation reveals that you and the universe are not separate. When you align with your true nature, when you release the ego's frantic grip, when you trust the unfolding of life, you discover that what you sought was seeking you all along. Be the ocean, be the sky. Be the fertile soil. Be the calm center in the storm. Say quietly to yourself, I am at peace. I am aligned. I am open. I am ready. And then let go. Because in letting go, you receive. In surrendering, you rise. In relaxing, you remember who you truly are. And that remembrance is the greatest gift of all. And as you continue on this sacred journey of softening into your being, something subtle yet extraordinary begins to occur. The frantic noise that once felt like your identity starts to fade into the background, like a radio station losing its signal. You begin to notice the spaces between your thoughts. You begin to feel the quiet pulse beneath your ambitions. And in that stillness, you discover that you are not the architect of life struggling to construct meaning. You are life itself, unfolding meaning through your presence. There is a great liberation in recognizing that you do not have to force your destiny into existence. The sun does not strain to rise. The flower does not compete with the garden beside it. Each expression of nature fulfills its purpose simply by being fully itself. Why then have you believed that you must twist yourself into someone else's image in order to receive what your heart longs for? Your longing is not an accident. It is guidance. The desires that arise from your deepest center are not random cravings. They are clues. They are invitations from the invisible realm, nudging you toward expansion. But desire distorted by comparison becomes envy. Desire distorted by fear becomes obsession. And desire distorted by doubt becomes self-sabotage. When you relax, you purify desire. You allow it to return to its original form, an impulse toward greater expression. Consider the river as it moves toward the sea. It does not analyze every bend in its path. It does not resist the stones that temporarily alter its course. It moves with persistence, yet without strain. There is power in its flow precisely because it does not fight its own nature. You are like that river. Your purpose is not hidden from you. It is carried within your movement. When you cease battling the terrain of your life, you begin to notice how every turn has been guiding you. How much of your exhaustion has come not from action itself, but from inner resistance? How often have you drained your energy arguing with what already is? Acceptance is not resignation. It is alignment. It is saying yes to this moment so that you can respond to it consciously rather than react to it unconsciously. Reaction is tension. Response is wisdom. When you relax, you shift from reaction to response. You become deliberate instead of defensive. You choose your thoughts instead of being ruled by them. And in that choosing, you reclaim your creative authority. There is a profound spiritual truth that has been whispered by sages throughout time. You cannot attract what you believe you are unworthy of. Worthiness is not granted by achievements. It is realized through awareness. When you believe you must prove yourself before receiving love, abundance, or recognition, you create an internal barrier. Relaxation dissolves that barrier because it rests on the understanding that your value precedes your performance. Imagine living from that certainty. Imagine walking into every room knowing that your presence is sufficient. Not superior, not inferior, simply sufficient. From that grounded center, you are no longer trying to extract validation from others. Instead, you are offering authenticity. And authenticity carries a resonance that cannot be ignored. This is how your world begins to transform, not through aggressive pursuit, but through subtle shifts in being. When you feel secure within, you stop chasing people who do not see you. When you feel abundant within, you stop clinging to opportunities that drain you. When you feel guided within, you stop demanding guarantees. Certainty born of ego is brittle. Certainty born of spirit is flexible. It does not insist on a single outcome. It trusts the larger orchestration. And trust is fertile ground for miracles. You may wonder, if I stop controlling, will everything fall apart? But look at your own body. Your heart beats without your command. Your cells regenerate without your supervision. There is an intelligence operating beneath your conscious awareness that has never failed you. Why would that intelligence suddenly abandon you when it comes to your dreams? The mind seeks evidence before it believes. The soul believes and then witnesses the evidence. When you relax into faith, you are not denying reality, you are expanding it. You are opening yourself to possibilities beyond the narrow calculations of fear. There is a sacred humility in admitting that you do not need to have every answer. This humility is not weakness, it is openness. It creates space for insight. It invites collaboration with forces unseen. And often, the most extraordinary breakthroughs arrive when you surrender your insistence on being right. Release the need to micromanage the unfolding of your life. Instead, cultivate the qualities that make you receptive: gratitude, compassion, patience, wonder. These are not passive virtues, they are magnetic states. Gratitude signals abundance. Compassion dissolves separation. Patience honors divine timing. Wonder keeps your heart supple and awake. As you embody these states, you begin to notice synchronicities that once escaped your attention. A conversation aligns perfectly with a lingering question. A book appears at the moment you need its message. A delay redirects you towards something more aligned with your growth. These are not random occurrences. They are reflections of coherence between your inner world and the outer experience. When your internal state harmonizes with trust, life mirrors that harmony. This does not mean challenges disappear. Storms will still arise. Plans will still shift, but you will navigate them differently. Instead of tightening against adversity, you will soften into resilience. Instead of collapsing into self-doubt, you will inquire, what strength is being awakened in me now? The journey of relaxation is not about eliminating effort. It is about refining intention. Effort fueled by fear depletes you. Effort inspired by love energizes you. When you align your actions with what feels expansive rather than constrictive, you discover a well of vitality that does not depend on external applause. And here is another quiet revelation. What you are seeking through achievement is often a feeling. You believe the promotion will bring security, the relationship will bring belonging, the accomplishment will bring fulfillment. But those feelings are not contained within events. They are cultivated within consciousness. When you relax into your own completeness, you generate the very feelings you once projected onto future outcomes. From that state, your actions become expressions rather than pursuits. You create not to fill a void, but to share your fullness. And fullness attracts fullness. Let your life become an offering instead of a negotiation. Instead of asking, what can I get? Ask, what can I give from the overflow of who I am? Paradoxically, the more you give from authenticity, the more you receive. Not because you are earning rewards, but because you are participating in the natural circulation of energy. Energy must move to remain vibrant. When you clutch it tightly, whether it is love, money, praise, or control, it stagnates. When you allow it to flow through you, it replenishes itself. Relax into generosity. Relax into trust. Relax into your divine inheritance. You are not here to struggle against existence. You are here to dance with it. The rhythm may change, the tempo may surprise you, but if you remain supple, you will never lose your balance. Rigidity shatters under pressure. Flexibility adapts and grows stronger. Each breath you take is an invitation to begin again. The past does not define this moment unless you allow it to. The future does not threaten this moment unless you project it. Right here, right now, there is a quiet perfection waiting to be recognized. Let yourself rest in that recognition. Feel how different life becomes when you are no longer bracing against it. Notice how conversations soften when you are not preparing defenses. Observe how creativity blossoms when you are not judging every idea. The world responds differently when you respond differently. And so, continue this practice of gentle surrender. Continue returning to the spacious awareness beneath your thoughts. Continue trusting that you are supported by a wisdom greater than your plans. Each time fear tightens its grip, meet it not with resistance, but with compassion. Say to it, thank you for trying to protect me, but I choose trust. Over time, trust becomes your default state. Ease becomes natural. Joy becomes less dependent on circumstance. And you realize that what you once believed you had to chase has been quietly gravitating toward you all along. Relax. Not because you have given up on your dreams, but because you have remembered who you are, a conscious expression of infinite possibility, guided by an intelligence that never sleeps, sustained by a love that never withholds. And in this remembering, desire and fulfillment are no longer separate experiences. They are movements within the same sacred dance of being.